Welcome to the Thriving Farmer Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Kilpatrick. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and celebrate sustainable farming. We believe that you can build a profitable, sustainable farm that gives you true farm freedom. Join us as we talk to farmers, innovators, educators, and entrepreneurs to glean their top takeaways in business and life. Want to boost revenue and attract new customers? Partner with Harvest Hosts, a free marketing platform generating $50 million annually for farms and small businesses. Connect with 250,000 travelers eager to support farms like yours by offering space for one RV overnight. No hookups needed. Our members will support your farm and you keep 100% of your revenue. Visit harvesthosts.com today. Hey, Thriving Farmers, Michael Kilpatrick here with yet another episode of the Thriving Farmer Podcast. Today, my guest is Regan Joehl from Greene Fields Farm, a fourth-generation family farmer in Illinois who, alongside his wife Christy and their 6 kids, has transformed 30 acres of pumpkins, gourds, and squash into a thriving seasonal destination for over 30,000 visitors each fall. The Joehl family is all about reconnecting with the land and bringing back old traditions on their historic farmland. Regan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So how did this start?
Yeah, so by Providence, really. Back in 2016, my wife was decided to leave her career in teaching to raise our kids, and I was convinced we weren't going to have any extra income to go to a pumpkin patch. So I'd grown pumpkins as a kid, loved it. I planted ended up planting 2 acres, went a little overboard, but planted a pumpkin patch so we could have that experience in the fall. Obviously, we had extra pumpkins. We invited some people out, and word spread. People kept coming, and we picked up on that longing people had to get out on the farm, and we enjoyed providing that experience. So we just grew it from there.
Okay. And so you do the pumpkins, you also do the mums. Do you do any other, you pick apples?
Yeah, everything's you pick. We do the you pick, like you said, pumpkins, mums, apples. We've added our food now. So when people come out, we do our pork that we raise here, that type of thing. And then just the experience. The visitors get to see the animals that we have here year round. So we've got the boys and I have the whole host of the farm animals. So and then this year we added. Well, we've always grown a few zinnias and sunflowers, but this year we really stepped that up, and the cut flower experience is really adding a lot to the front end of our season. So.
Nice. Okay, and how far are you? I'm assuming you're close to Chicago?
Actually, St. Louis. We're actually about an hour north. Yeah, I don't like to call it Southern Illinois, but we're downstate Illinois. So we're actually about an hour straight north of Chicago, or of St. Louis, on the Illinois side of the river. So that would be our biggest metropolitan area.
Okay. All right. Very cool. All right. Well, let's start breaking this down a little bit. Okay. So pumpkins, I'm assuming you just grow a wide variety of those on plastic. Talk a little bit about like the production side of that.
Sure. Yeah. So we grow anything I can get my hands on. People love the variety. I love the variety. And not, we do orange pumpkins. We grow probably, I'm going to say 10 varieties, but then we've got another 160 varieties of different, gourd squash, specialty pumpkins, that type of thing. On 30 acres, we're not growing on plastic. We're doing, we finally got a system with cover crop rye down that
nice.
I like. So we're growing them on rye, planting them direct seeded in June, actually a couple times in June, and then for the September, October market. So.
Okay, so you actually stagger your pumpkin plantings, so you stagger your harvest.
Yeah, we found that and we stagger our risk too. About our 3rd or 4th year, we had a really bad problem with, I think it was Phytophthora. It was either Phytophthora or a bacterial spot, and it hit the early pumpkins worse. And at that point, I only grew early pumpkins.
Yes.
So then I've started where we plant 1st of June, and then we plant another planting about 2 weeks later, and then the last planting goes in following wheat. So we double crop some pumpkins after wheat, and it spreads out the risk. And we've got fresh pumpkins, from September 1st through mid-October. So.
Yeah. So is this something where people actually go to the fields that the pumpkins are grown in?
Yes. Yeah, we focus everything toward toward that experience. We do sell some pre-picked, but we really put them at a price point that there's a real incentive to go out and pick your own. And we've Yeah, I mean, it's a 30-acre field. It's almost a half mile long, and we get people
Yeah.
that go, clear to the back. We've actually got a sign at the back of the field to encourage people to go back there, where you get a free pumpkin if you make it all the way to the back of the field, and we give them big carts to fill. And typically, when you get out there, you just start filling that cart and having that experience with your family, and yeah, get rid of a lot
So,
of.
okay, so then how do you price them?
Yeah, so we price, and we're pretty different from a lot of places. We just are a flat rate price, so it's $7 for any size pumpkin. We do grow the giant pumpkins, over 100 pounds. Those are 25, which is still a steal.
Yes.
And then we do the $7 pumpkins, and then we do for all the small stuff in each wagon, cart. We have a milk crate that you can fill with the small things for $12, and that
Oh,
way, and
okay.
that was one
Yeah.
of our back before we did pumpkins. We went to these patches with the kids. Had 3 kids at the time. We went out there, and they were selling by the pound. I think it was 50 cents
Yes.
a pound or something. We had no idea what those pumpkins weighed, and we got up front. I'll never forget it, with 3 pumpkins, and we owed them, I think it was 70 or $80 back in
Dear God.
2015. And yeah, and you're up there, your kid wants their pumpkin, and I did not like that feeling at all. And I think
No.
people really, really appreciate the freedom of that, and they
Yeah.
know it's a deal compared to other places, but we can still do very well because we sell just a lot of pumpkins and gourds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so you've got the pumpkins there. I'm assuming it's weather dependent too. If you're really rainy for a couple days, that can be a little challenge to get people in and out.
Oh yeah, I mean, really everything comes down to those weekends in late September, early October. We'll do 60-70% of our business in 2-3 weekends. We're open for 24 days. We're only open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for 8 weeks,
Okay.
but the majority of our business comes those consolidated days there toward the end of September, early October. And yeah, you get a rain out, it hurts. But
Yeah. So I'm assuming then they come, they get the pumpkins, and then you start offering all the other things. That's where they spend. Your goal is to drive up the average sale as high as possible.
exactly, yeah, and that's where the food has really stepped in. Because people, they come, they stay longer, they like to eat, and that's been a nice add. But that's been a whole new level of management and labor, and a lot of costs involved with that. We also do kids activities for the kids to play. We don't charge admission for it. We don't charge admission to the farm, which is really
Yeah.
unique in this space. But there again, we've been able to make it work without doing that, with just focusing on the product. We don't want to turn into a amusement park farm. We want to be a real farm, and to
Yeah.
us that means doing, having the approach we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm actually looking at your prices. You got all your prices on your website, which is unique. Like you're charging $5 for a slushie. We're at $6.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's a 12 ounce, 16
Yes.
ounce.
Yeah, that's
12
12
ounce. Okay. The kettle corn, is that something you guys make on site?
Yeah, we make it there. We actually grow the popcorn too. That's
Very
my
cool.
background. I've always grown
Yeah.
popcorn, so we make it right there. We got a big kettle corn popper, and we got it set up so it's right out there where people see it. And that's kind of the first thing we started with concessions, and we've since added cider donuts and the sliced caramel apples. And I thought that might cut back on our kettle corn sales, but actually it's just they all kind of complement one another.
Yeah. Yeah. So the apple cider donuts, is that something where you have one of the, I forget what they're called, the machines that drops it?
Yep,
Mark
the
II
Belshaw,
or-
Mark
Yes.
II. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we just got into that this year, got actually 2 Mark IIs, and went and found what we thought was the best mix, and got going on that this year. And it's interesting in this area. Not many people know about apple cider donuts. You go to
Oh.
the Chicago area, you go
Yeah.
so many of these groups we're in, everybody just raves about these things. Around here, it's a brand new market. So I think, they did really well this year, but it's a
Yeah.
wide open market, and we're kind of almost educating people and giving them,
Yeah.
samples and getting them exposed to it, and then keep them coming back for it. So Yeah.
Yeah, because upstate New York, where I was originally from,
Mhm.
all the orchards would have them, and the lines would literally be around the building, across the parking lot, through the orchard,
Yeah.
across the river.
Yeah.
So,
Thankfully, we didn't. I mean, we didn't see that this year with ours, but
yeah,
yeah, because we were kind of a little, concerned about that. That man, if this gets too crazy, we don't want it to take away from everything
yeah,
else. But thankfully, it's just been a nice
yeah,
fit, nice balance. So
yeah, exactly. I keep trying to get the team to let me buy one because I know it'll make us money.
oh,
And my
strawberries, man, you do a strawberry donut. Whew. Yeah.
yeah, and we would do it lard, so it'd be lard because
Yep.
that's my wife's thing. As long as it's lard, she's okay with
Yep.
me doing it because that's the
Yeah.
healthy oil. So,
Exactly.
um, but yeah, so that's kind of where we are. I need to get through one more good straw. I don't know. Maybe I can convince them for the strawberry season. I think I probably just need to run the numbers for them and show them just how much money this will make us.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Especially if you've got an
yeah,
employee to run it, that's because it takes
yeah,
at least one, maybe two people to just focus on
yeah.
that. But
And
yeah, the
we
return's great.
yeah, we have a kitchen now, so it's
Oh, there you go.
we have a space for it. So yeah,
Yeah.
although I know we would have to have a permanent setup because that really does need a permanent setup because of the oils in it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Good and all that. Yep.
so then you're raising pigs as well.
Yeah. So that started just kind of as a hobby. My wife grew up with pigs, with Berkshire pigs,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a couple just so the boys could be around more animals. And it's turned into actually what happened was my our 13-year-old son. We gave him, or I think he bought a feeder pig, and a few years went by. He ended up owning all the pigs because we were saving pigs from his pig,
Yeah,
and now
yeah.
he's totally in charge of that. So he's got 4 sows now, and Pharaoh's out. He's doing about 40 pigs a year and selling them direct. We're pulling off that
Mm-hmm.
our clientele that we have for the pumpkin patch, and he's selling to them, getting a pretty premium price for them, selling by the whole and half hog, and doing really well with it. He just put up a hoop barn to do
Oh,
a deep bed
nice.
system for that, and he's got a real nice farrowing setup now. So yeah, it's been neat to see him take charge of that and do these things that I don't really have the time to do to do
Yeah,
well, so he can, which is really
yeah.
cool.
Well, I mean that's the exciting thing about having kids and then having
Hmm.
a audience that you can sell additional things to.
Yes, the mark.
And
Yeah,
so, yes, the market, it makes it so much easier if you have the market. So,
hmm, exactly.
um, okay, so back to your growing your pumpkins though.
Yeah.
So you grow them, put the rye. I'm assuming you're doing like a knockdown herbicide.
Yes. Rye goes out in the fall, and then come
Mm-hmm.
well, let me back up. Real trouble we had when I first was trying rye is seeding directly into the rye. If you end up getting a wet early June or any time of June, any
Mm-hmm.
time of the summer, it really stunts those pumpkins, and they never dry out. They never vine right. I ruined some pumpkins doing that.
Yeah.
So what we do now is I'll go out real early in the spring when the rye greens up, and yeah, I'll spray out with herbicide. I'll spray out a strip every, it's about 9 feet, I guess, wide, where the pumpkins are going to go. Let the rye grow up, head out. So when it's pollinating, come in with a roller, roll it down. And at that time, the strips that I killed out get pretty clear, and then we come in and plant into that bare dirt. And it's only about a foot,
Yeah.
18 inches wide. And this past year we had a really wet or not late June, it was actually late July, and we saw some stunting again, but
Yeah.
given that ground some space to dry out, and then the carbon nitrogen ratios and that, not being so screwed up, it really helped. So, but yeah, after we roll it down, we do come in and kill it with a herbicide and use some pre-emerge to help with the weeds, because weeds are just
Yeah.
relentless pumpkins, as you probably know.
Yeah. So
They're
that's
relentless
really
in anything. So
yeah, that's really interesting. So that allows you to probably decrease your herbicide usage by like 1 to 1/9 because you're only going for that little tiny strip down there.
yeah, and we are coming
Um,
back when the rye
yeah.
gets rolled down and spraying everything again,
Oh,
but
okay. Yeah.
it does hold back those weeds, the morning glory, the water hemp, that would
Mm-hmm.
normally be just ferocious out there in that bare soil. If you've got rye on it, you have a lot better control on them, but it's not 100%
Yeah.
by any means. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so then fascinating. And then I'm assuming you're just doing a regular fungicide program throughout the season.
Yeah, we've got to, there again, back to when we had all that trouble with the fruit rots. We're spraying with a fungicide program and staying ahead of that because, everything, it's all focused on those pumpkins, and we treat them really well, keep them healthy. And so we have that crop that we
Exactly.
need to bring everybody else in. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so then let's talk about the mums you guys
yeah.
grow.
hmm
What size pots are you using mostly?
Okay, let's see. We've got our big tricolors, or I want to say a 12-inch pot. My wife does the ordering on them, but the 12-inch pot, and we're up to like a 10-inch pot on our single colored ones now. And we used to do just the plain old mum pans, the 9-inch mum pans, and the black 12-inch pots. But in the last
Yeah.
uh, couple years, we've been using more of a decorative pot that you can put right on your front
Gotcha.
porch and looks nice. But we do
Yes.
we that size pot, and then we give them a lot of room on the mat to try to get them as big as we can because the big mums, nobody else, everybody around here, all the box stores and the farm stores all have mums, but nobody's got these big, beautiful mums like we try to grow. So
Gotcha. Okay, so you're growing a premium mum, and then your prices actually were on those weren't
yeah,
that bad. They're like $14 maybe,
yeah,
or
14 and 24 for the tricolors, and then we do a big called a whiskey barrel, but it's a big faux whiskey barrel, probably 2 foot in diameter, and that's the higher price point. But yeah, I mean we're still, I'm going to say, double what you can buy a mum for at the box stores, or even maybe a little more, at least in this area. But it hasn't phased people, so because it is a premium
yeah,
product.
yeah. But parking is probably the biggest important side of that. 2 to 3 acres of parking, I'm assuming. More than
Yeah,
that.
we're up to. It's interesting when uh, we're up to next year. Will probably be close to 5 acres of parking, and
Wow.
it's all got to be because you get 5 acres of parking, you're getting pretty far away from the farm,
Correct.
and then it comes down to there's the parking factor, there's the wagon factor. How many wagons do we have? And then how much time people are spending. So when we added the food, people stay longer. So they tie up a parking spot and a wagon longer, which
Yes.
is fine. So we added more parking. Well, then we found out we have plenty of parking, but we ran out of wagons when our parking was half full. So we're adding.
Yes.
I've got 200 of those silly gorilla carts now. I kid that my retirement plan is in those carts, but we found
Yeah.
out
Just
this year had a couple of those really big days, and we're out of carts. And when you're out of carts, people stand there waiting, and then they start kind of getting antsy over them, and the wheels just fall off literally.
yes.
So we added about 30 more carts, and then we found, hey, this number of carts matches the amount of parking we have, and it all works. Now, if we scale up from there, yeah, yeah. So there's a proportion there, kind of a logarithm there, I guess, between number of carts to how many acres of parking I have. So trying to hone in on that.
Yeah. And then the apples. So they come out, get their pumpkins, eat some food, pick some
Yep.
apples.
Yep. Yeah, the apples are most all you pick. We used to pick them and then bag them and sell them, and then we had where we picked them and let people bag their own. For us, just having the labor and the time, none of us like doing that. And everybody wants to pick an apple. Of course, when they do, there's more waste. This year we had a ton of drops, but we try to price them at a point where it doesn't sting as much when they price them double what price double. So if they drop half of them, you're still getting paid for them. So yeah, we just gear everything toward that you pick experience, and it seems to be working really well.
Yes. Now, okay, so then the picking of the apples, was that the waste because it was a dry season, or is it just because people were throwing them?
Mostly they weren't hanging on the tree very well. Dry season, and I'm still learning a ton about growing apples. I'm not an orchardist, but this year especially, and we did have a really dry August. I probably should have irrigated more, but they were not hanging well on the tree. And you go to pick one, and a couple would fall off, and they hit the ones below them, and it was just this cascade effect that made you sick.
Yes.
But we still, numbers wise, the apples still came right in there where we were expecting. We had a huge apple crop, so it all came out in the end. But it's just a matter of adding to that experience. We're trying to get this whole experience for people, and so they can experience all the things they want to. So.
And I'm assuming your goal is to, because I'm just looking at some of your pictures on your Facebook page, which is really well done. I love how you basically decorate your entire store with pumpkins.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool there. I'm assuming your goal is that you never run out of pumpkins. So your goal, even if you have a couple thousand in the field, that's completely fine.
We actually, 2 years ago, well, actually 3 seasons ago now, I ran out of pumpkins Columbus Day weekend with 3 weekends to go. And that was terrible. That was some interesting marketing and interesting stuff we had to do there. So I swore, I'll do everything in my power not to run out again. And this year we probably had, I'm going to say, 5 or 8 acres of that patch that wasn't touched. And I mean, there were thousands of pumpkins out there. But I'd much rather have that than to not have them. And it was interesting this year too, is just how clean the patch got picked, and that line where the pumpkins were just kept marching further and further away. And by the last weekend, we were getting back there to the back corner, and it worked out just about right. Of course, this year weather was perfect. We had every weekend wide open. So exactly. I mean, the neighboring farmers around who are more on the row crop side of things, they look across the fence line and see all those pumpkins like, oh, you're wasting so many. I'm like, no, that's that is a tiny cost compared to running out. So.
Well, yes. When you think about when you're planting at that scale, the cost for acre of pumpkins, it's very low.
Yes, we're at a totally different price point than most farmers around here.
Yes. So then your acreage, how much acreage do you guys have?
So we're doing the pumpkins now. It's a 160 acre farm.
Okay.
Row crop, corn, soybean. Deal, but then we're doing about every year about 40 acres is in the whole pumpkin patch, conglomerate. So, and we do rotate it. We've got kind of a 3-year rotation where we're moving to a new spot, only growing pumpkins in the same spot every 3rd year. So.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. And I'm looking at too. You have like a corn crib where they can play in the corn.
Yeah, that is.
Yes, you've got a little maze. It looks like a play area.
Yeah. We added that. The outdoor play area was new this year with the bales. The kids really love that. We've got a small. It's a Milo maze, so it's Milo only gets 4 feet tall. We don't do a big corn maze for a lot of reasons, mainly because none of us in our family like corn mazes.
Okay.
And to staff, there's a whole lot of reasons. So we do the maze to give the kids that experience, but really geared that toward the younger kids in the play area. The corn box, we had to add a second one this year just because that's the draw, and it's so easy to do. Kids love playing in that corn, so we had to add a second one to give more room. And we're really working on. Actually, that's what this off season is going to be. Is this? We've got there's a 2 acre or so spot, that is always the entrance to the pumpkin patch every year, and we're really working on developing that for more activities, more things just along this path, as you go out to the patch, giving families and kids something to do. So it's not such a long walk out there. It just keeps everybody occupied the whole way, and it's this experience we're creating. So, and the flowers, they come into that too.
Gotcha. And then looking at your mums here, you do it all on drippers, all on fabric, space them out nicely. And mums are pretty standard.
Yeah, the water on the mums, it was interesting. Normally my wife did the mums, the day-to-day care of them. This year we just had a baby in January, so he wasn't available to do that. So I took over, care of them through the summer. And oh my goodness, trying to water those. I don't know how many of your listeners have experience growing potted plants, but trying to get the water right on those things and fighting the root rot and all that is I'm ready to give it back to her next year.
So either too much water or not enough water.
Yeah, and then different plants take up water differently, and then you'll end up with one that's too dry, and then one that's way over wet, and then once you start getting issues with root rot, it's just a battle on those things. So, but in the end, I mean, we deal with it every year, but in the end, it ends up all shaken out, and we end up with beautiful stuff to sell. So
do you Do you do any biologicals for the root rot?
Tried, and I forget what the product was. We've tried adding, it was some product that we added to our potting mix when we potted them. It wasn't cheap at all, and we didn't see any difference on that one. So, but I'd be open to any suggestions out there to not have that problem. So,
Yeah. I'm not again, we don't grow mums, so I'm not sure, but we use a wide range of biologicals on a number of our other crops. And for us, we'll put 3 or 4 or 5 different ones in there.
yeah,
Because the thing is, like, with those crops that we're growing, our margins are so high
yeah.
that it's pennies per plant. And so it doesn't make a difference. But,
If you lose,
yeah.
100 mums, you can pay for a whole lot
Oh,
of
yes.
stuff. So if
Yes.
it works.
So you don't inject anything during the season at all, then?
Well, we do. We inject the
fertilizer
program, and then we do use just some fungicides.
Oh, okay.
But even those, I thought we had that figured out, and then this year came around, and it didn't seem like we were getting the control that we needed or that we wanted using those products. So it's a learning experience there, for sure.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Talk a little bit about your marketing. How does your marketing work?
Yeah. So, originally, as far as getting the word out and getting people here, Facebook, as much as I despise it, Facebook has been what's helped us get to where we are. And word of mouth is huge. Once you give people a great experience, and giving people a chance to share, pictures and things while they're here on their social media. I try to stay off social media other than our farm page, and I hear from everybody I see in the fall that they've seen us all over social media. So there's that. This year we did branch out into some radio advertising to try to get a different demographic there, and that we did get some feedback, people telling us they heard us on the radio, so that was helpful. But yeah, Facebook is our biggest thing, and Instagram, and then of course we've got the website is kind of the anchor, and then keeping in touch with people throughout the year through Facebook. Every year I say I'm going to do an email list, and I sit down to do it, and I just get discouraged. So I admire so many people for the email lists, the email advertising you guys do, or updates you guys do, but haven't looked into that yet. So,
well, the thing about the email is that's one where if you do have a bad weekend, you just put out an email and you do a slight coupon, and I bet you would drive your traffic back up. What's your point of sale?
We use Square.
So are you collecting phone numbers?
It does. I've never dug into it, to be honest. So yeah, and
gosh, yeah.
I know. I've always been really apprehensive of that. I just, man, I don't know.
So we were too, and people are well used to getting texts now.
Yeah.
As long as you don't send them during the first week of November, which is
when everybody's getting those texts. Yeah.
Yes, those texts.
Yeah.
My phone literally blew up this year. I don't give my number out to a lot of people, but I literally got blown up this year because of all that stuff.
Yeah.
But people are used to it. We haven't had one complaint, and we actually have a lot of people that say, "Oh my gosh, thank you for reminding me because I forgot about coming over." So it's one of those things, because you already have all the phone numbers in there, all you'll have to do is just subscribe to the marketing thing, and then you just can put out the text. It's really easy.
Yep.
So
and especially too with the we're starting to do some asparagus in the spring and doing the boys with their projects where you can reach out directly to people. That would be huge.
Yeah. So I'm looking at your Facebook page, and you do get really, really good viral shares. Like the one you did September 3rd, you holding the giant pumpkin.
That thing went nuts. That was, and then I started doing some reels too, and those things were going nuts. But then I realized it wasn't people who could potentially be our customers. And ended up kind of pulling back on that because I didn't like where that was going. But yeah, that one picture with the pumpkin and the $7 flat rate, I think it reached 150,000 people. It was something crazy like that. Typically in the 10 to 20,000 is a good post for us.
Yeah. because you had 1,200 shares, you had 1,100 likes,
Yeah.
and your total page. I'm just trying to think like how many you got 10,000 likes. So you
Yeah.
have a very similar size page to our page,
Yeah.
but your engagement is through the roof, which is really good. But I think too, the other thing is, people love a deal and they love sharing a deal. And because you offer that, I think that's why people are like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. They like telling that story for us. So yeah, we actually, and we didn't do it this year. Last year we had too many mums, and we had some that weren't the greatest quality. And I think it was a buy one, get one or some sale. And oh my goodness, our staff said, don't do that again. Cause we had people, it was like 7 a.m. at the yard sale. We had people throwing elbows and bowling over one another, and like, no. This is, but we sold them. So there's always that trade-off there, and we're that's something we always throw around. So
yeah. Okay, so then what is your strategy for like what you're going to do new every year? Do you have what's your team look like?
Well, I mean, I'd be the brainchild behind it all, and Christy, my wife, just supports me so much, and sometimes really, I won't say holds me back, but like tempers me. Let's put it that way with some of these ideas. And then our team that comes in for pumpkin season, they're just awesome for just getting the job done that needs done. So as far as when I look at next year, that's normally me coming in and just looking at what do we want this patch to be? What do we and a lot of times it's what can I build? I love building things in the off season. So actually for this coming year, we're gonna disassemble an old barn and make an old barn pavilion and some other permanent restrooms, that type of thing. But it's something I love to do and can do full time now. So it kind of becomes kind of my baby. What I can do the rest of the year, and then we've got these, of course, my wife and the kids. I should have mentioned the kids who can make it all happen and help along the way, and then this team that comes in for pumpkin season that just rocks it. So I don't know. I don't know if that answers the question. I guess. I guess I didn't. I admire you, Michael, and so many people for coming into it with just total business eyes, right? Like, this is, we're going to build this business, and this is going to provide for us, and that. Me, it was almost, I'm coming in with this just this drive and desire and calling really to create this thing, and the business side has been working itself out really well along with that. I don't know if that makes sense.
Absolutely, that totally makes sense. And you've got two where you've established your core product, which is the $7 pumpkin.
Yeah.
So, and it's a profitable product for you. Yeah. But you've also then looked at, okay, what are all the different other services that we can offer this same customer while they're out here? Yep. And you just every year build a little bit on that.
Yep.
So,
and then my temptation is always, I was bound determined to add strawberries this coming year, or would have planted them, a while back. Grew some last year, kind of learning it, and that's the next big thing, right? It's what we're going to do, but then looking at weighing all the options, praying over it, and seeing what just pressure that would put on our family life and put on the boys and Christy to pull that off, ultimately determined, no, that's not for us right now. I can't do that to them. And there's a sign on the wall at Jimmy John's. It says the gap between more and enough never closes, and I always remember that, because it's like, where my wife Christy always asks, what do we want this? Yes. Where is this going? Do we want to be the huge, hundreds of thousands of people coming out to the pumpkin patch? No, we want to enjoy it. We want it to provide for us, and that's really where the challenge is now, 10 years in, is how to hit that mark of it being big enough to provide and sustain us, but also not so huge that it just overtakes us. And then we lose who we are in it. So that's what we're always sifting through. That's where my wife is such a blessing to help me with that.
Kind of holds you back in some aspects.
Or just she knows obviously she knows me well and knows how to, help me hone in on what we're really called to do. So.
Yeah, strawberries are they definitely could be an addition, but
Yeah.
you're going to plant them right before your season. So you
Yeah.
have to plant, first.
When we're setting up and when it's nuts, and
Yeah, so that's going to be a challenge.
And we covered and uncovered, what did we have, a quarter of an acre last year, and the boys, I don't know if I could pay them enough. They disown me by pumpkin season. I don't want them working by pumpkin season. So yeah,
it's all about the system, because we've gotten to, we've gotten to the point where we can uncover an acre in a half hour.
Yeah.
And we color code our covers. And it works it's really fast. But yes, you're right. There is something about, you have to be committed to that, and it's management. It's all about the management on the strawberry crop.
Exactly. So I think that's the thing we all face is, in doing what we're doing is, what do we do? What are we focusing on here? And is it okay to focus everything on pumpkin season and to be okay with that, and to pour it all into that, and then, maybe say no to a few things throughout the year that would just be too much. So,
So I'm assuming that, like you said, the winters are pretty slow. You just kind of like working, maintenance, fixing projects, fixing, that kind of thing.
Building. In the past, I had, and I still work for my dad and brother's row crop farm some, but that's but we're focusing more now on our pumpkin side of things. So building, maintenance. I don't know the time. You know how it is. The time and family. I mean, we've got our 6 kids, and we don't do a whole lot of extracurricular stuff, I guess you'd call it. But just taking that time for family. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Correct.
Doing.
Yes.
And then to the, I'm going to call it the homestead side of things that we do. We have our family milk cow, and we've got the pigs and chickens and all that. So it's plenty busy, but busy in different things. So.
Yeah. And how old is your oldest?
Oldest is 15. So we're 15 down to 10 months. So looking forward to him getting his license. That's going to be a game changer for for us.
Yes. Yeah. I bet. I'm assuming he's already been driving vehicles around the farm for a couple of years.
Yeah. Most of them have, but yeah, and I should speak to that. The, raising kids on the farm and doing what we're doing, they are, our best help, our best employees, our best. I mean, they just know what to do, and they're in it and invested in it, and it's a great way to raise them. If you don't let it get to be too much. That's always the balance as a dad.
That's the key. Is I've been tried to really, because I feel like I've watched other families struggle with that and kind of destroy their kids, unfortunately.
We've got to be careful of that.
So our kids, we typically don't make them work for the farm. They have to do chores around the house. If they want to earn money, they can work for the farm. But my 7-year-old, it seems like I don't know, maybe a month ago, a switch just flipped in his brain. And he went from dreading every aspect of it to the other day he was out there for 3 hours. And just he wanted to crack garlic, and so I guess he got into it, and so he was cracking garlic for 2 hours, and then he was planting onions, and just yesterday morning he got up. I was sitting on the couch. It was 5:57 in the morning, and he shows up, and he's got his pants on, his shirt over his shoulder, and he's barefoot, and he's like, "Hey, I'm up." And I was like, "Buddy, it's before 6 o'clock." And he's like, "Well, Monica said we're planting garlic today, and I want to plant garlic."
Isn't that awesome though? When they make the choice. Exactly.
So that was great. And again, I mean, it's one of those things. I don't know if you want to ever take the farm over or do anything like that, but I tell them, if you know how to critically think and work an 8-hour day, you will never want in life.
There's skills here that that are gonna really help them no matter where they are called to.
What would you say your favorite part about the operation is?
Oh boy. Just getting to, I love, and I've always loved from a kid, from when I was a kid, like just the layout of, gardening at the time, but just the, being able to lay out a farm, with your apples here and your buildings here and your pumpkins over here and the flowers here, and then see, starting from just a blank slate in the spring and then come into opening day of pumpkin season and see it just transform into this experience. That's a beautiful thing. And I guess too, I'm going to give you two things here, but as introverted as I am, having people come out and seeing them have this experience that wows them, that surprises them, putting them in contact with something they didn't even know they longed for or desired, and then just the family life that ties into that, that is an amazing thing. And to have people just constantly coming up and thanking us for opening our farm to them, and I'm sure you get that too. That is just such a humbling, almost ministry. So that's another huge perk of it.
Well, and as you said, the reason you started the farm was you got charged $80 for 3 pumpkins, and you felt there was something unfair and unjust about that. And so this aspect that you've created a awesome fall experience that a family can go out, ditch their screens, ditch the city life, get the clean country air, explore a farm and learn about that, and go home with knowing that their memories are made. They're going to look at those pumpkins on their porch. Oh my gosh, I got a deal. And I had such a good time.
Yeah, they're going to remember. The memories. And now 10 years in we're only 10 years in, but starting to see, we're not seeing generations yet, but seeing kids who were here, as newborns, and now they were here as high schoolers. Now they're young adults bringing their kids, and just providing that experience, and for our community too, because around us there's really, we're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
And the fact that people, if they're coming from the St. Louis area, they're driving over an hour to get here. And it, on one hand, it helps filter out kind of, I think, the best customers, but they're really seeking us out and really want to be here and to do that. So it's really humbling.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk a little bit about government regulation. What have you guys dealt with?
I think the biggest thing's been the health department. As far as, thankfully, in our county, there's no zoning, so we haven't had to deal with that. We're a very rural, conservative county, and so there's not that. But the health department, has open reign, and I really fought it. The conservative in me fought it for a long time, and then trying to find the loopholes, and we did concessions for a couple years under the cottage food umbrella, and then finally just breaking down and playing their game a little bit, put in the septic system, put in did what they needed to do. And thankfully our inspector is, has worked with us a lot and likes what we're doing out here. But same thing, we had one of our busiest weekends, neighbor down the road hit a riser on the water line with his shredder, and we lost water, which we've got a well, so I just changed over, and health department ended up showing up that day. Like the one day.
Oh boy.
We'll make it. It's thankfully, with what we're doing and what we're providing to the community, the health department people know that, and they've been willing to work with it. But there's so many things that got about to.
Yeah, you were on city water, had to switch over to your well. Yeah, we hit that. That's why our kitchen isn't certified, is because of we were going to have to basically tap into city water, which was $25,000, or install a private water plant. Yeah. And believe it or not, it's the EPA that gets involved with all of that. Yeah. So anyway,
we could talk all day on it, but
yes.
Just having the reputation we do with them, that helps a ton, I think. And it's just the cost of doing business, it drives me nuts. But that's been our biggest regulation, has been at the health department level. So
yeah. Well, it's nice to have a county with no building regulations.
No kidding.
Yeah, that was the other $10,000 cost for our kitchen. Even the guy the architect said it would be cheaper for us to build a brand new building than to go ahead and retrofit.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of extra work that he would have to do in drawing the size.
And the fact that you had to have an architect. I'm sitting here thinking, I just build this stuff, right? I mean, thank goodness I can.
Yes. Well, it's really interesting. My wife and I, we've put now 4 years into this.
Yeah.
This year, the business will hit 1.2 million.
Yeah.
We are not anywhere near where we want to be profitability wise, but a lot of it's because we just keep pouring the money into the business, which it's going to stop eventually. But we were talking there tonight, like, okay, if we did it over again, and we're like, where would we be? What would we do? Yeah. And it would not be doing what we're doing. And it really came down to literally the government side of things.
Yeah.
We just want to be left alone.
Yeah. We just want to do our thing. Our customers want to, that's our,
They want to shop with us. Yeah. I would have a giant 4x8 sign that says, nothing on this property is inspected by the government. Proceed at your own risk. Yeah. And I would say we'd have a line out the door, because people don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Well, or they want to support we won't go into all that. We could, but.
The renegade.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, it comes back to that whole aspect of, case in point, our local tax department. We file late, so we get the extension. I went down on the right date, gave them my thing, paid my money, and then 3 weeks later, I get a thing in the mail that says, we don't have your tax return. And I'm like, I handed it to you. So I go back down there. I'm standing there watching them turn the office upside down trying to find my tax return because I have a picture of the receipt that says I paid the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're so sorry we lost it.
What if I lost it? I'd be in big doo-doo. Yeah.
Yeah. But government has immunity. And I don't know why. Yeah. Why do they get to literally... Anyway, we could go on for hours.
Yeah. We could, and I guess just on I was on our county board for a while, and that's what drove me nuts about agencies like our health department is there was zero oversight. I mean, they're not elected, we could go on and on, but there was really nothing we could do to
rein them in.
Help to rein them in.
Yeah,
it's
the 438 different government agencies. It's basically 2 a year since the country was founded, and it's a little bit too far. And I think we're recording this literally 2 days after the election. And I think you're seeing why the country voted the way it did is because they said enough is enough.
Yeah, we're out here on the ground wanting to get stuff done. Hopefully, maybe we'll get a better chance to do that.
We'll see.
We'll see. I'm not going to put too much.
Yes.
I'll just keep. Yeah.
You'll keep growing pumpkins.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Regan, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you coming on, sharing. Anything you'd like to share before we go?
No, just thanks for having me. It's an honor. It's an honor to be here, in front of your audience. Thanks for what you do. Yeah. I think when your producer reached out to me, she said there was this podcast, and I said you're one of 3 podcasts I think I listened to. So
you're doing
a great job.
Good.
Keep it up.
Yeah. Well, thank you. All right. Thanks again.
You bet.
So there you have it, another episode in the books. So I'd love if you would hop on over to iTunes and leave us a rating and a review. Those mean everything to us. We love to hear what you're thinking. If you have a podcast guest that you can recommend, please pop on over to the Thriving Farmer Podcast website and leave us a review. That's thrivingfarmerpodcast.com.